Hi, and welcome back to the Mandarin Blueprint Podcast, episode 101. Today's grammar point is about another connector. Yes, another one. We've had several lately, haven't we? We're working our way through them. A connector, just as a reminder, is in common linguistic terms would be a conjunction. And the Chinese word for conjunction is liànxí. Lian means to connect, so we like to call it connector. We think that's describes more accurately and more obviously what this grammatical function is. So this particular structure, so the structure is as follows. 只有 necessary condition, 才 only, conditional outcome. So essentially in human being terms, this means you want a particular desired outcome, right? But in your opinion, or whoever's speaking, in the speaker's opinion, there's only one condition under one condition can this outcome be achieved. So if you're trying to express something like that, there's only one way, and only this way can we achieve this particular goal or outcome. This is what you would use. 只有 and 才. And as usual, it's always best to jump into example sentences. But before we do, Phil brought up a great comparison, a great way to sort of visualize, conceptualize this meaning in action. So it's almost like the perfect example because, especially if you're American, but maybe Canadians, and me too, I mean, there's this concept of Smokey the Bear, right? And I don't know how I know this, but, you know, I watch, I do actually. I watch way too much TV as a kid, teenager. And I know his phrase, you know, only you can prevent forest fires. And this is just the perfect example. And I'm going to run through our prepared examples here, but whilst I'm doing so, see if you can use your Pleco dictionary, or maybe you have that level of vocabulary at your disposal. Maybe you can do it from your mind, but try and translate that. And I'll sort of quiz you on the end and sit at the end and see how you do. See if you can translate this phrase. Only you can prevent forest fires. And I think if you do that, that would just cement this idea in your mind for good. You wouldn't need much else. So let's jump into the first example sentence. This is actually really easy to use, this concept. So sentence one is as follows. 只有看这本书才能明白. So look at this sentence here. What is the desired outcome? The desired outcome is to 明白, to understand whatever they're talking about. Maybe it's a topic of some kind. And the only condition under which, there you go, my English is terrible. The only condition under which you can achieve this desired outcome is by reading this book. 看这本书. So let's do it one more time. 只有 only 看这本书才能明白. So let's look at another example here. So this is from level 27 of the course. That last one was from level 20. So that will be unlocked at that point. You'll be able to read that without pinyin or translations, which is pretty cool. This second one actually omits 只有. So I guess you could say the most powerful, most important word in this structure is 才. It's a very powerful little word. And it conveys that idea of only very strongly. Okay. So this next one says 多练习口语. 多练习口语. So practice speaking, essentially. 才会说得流利. So the desired outcome is 说得流利, to speak fluently. And the only way to do that is 多练习口语, to speak. But we should say, I guess, more accurately, speak and also read and listen a ton as well. Yeah, so, but you know, we've got to keep these sentences short, right? But this is true, definitely. You do need to practice speaking a lot. By the way, guys, get on to a tutor online, perhaps preferably, maybe italki, a really good idea. Start practicing once a week. You know, especially if you're coming towards the end of our foundation course, go ahead and start doing that. Sorry, another tangent. So let's have a look at this third sentence here. 只有会玩才会工作. So only if you know how to relax will you know how to work. So look at this next sentence here. Take a look at the translation first, if you like, and then have a look at the Chinese. Either way is fine. 只有会玩才会工作. So what's the desired outcome? You want to work, and you want to work well. 好好工作，好好, so it's double 好, but with the first tone on the second one. 好好工作. You want to work properly. You want to work well. 才会工作. So that's what you want to do, and the only condition, the only way, according to the speaker, that you can really do that is if you know how to play, as in have fun. That's the Chinese translation, okay? So Chinese people say 玩. It doesn't literally mean playing with like toy cars. It means all sorts of things, usually getting drunk. So 只有会玩. So only under this condition 才会工作. Can you work well? Can you work, sorry. That's all it's saying. Great. So one more sentence. To look at this one's a little bit longer. Let's check it out. This is also from level 28. So let's check out the first part of the sentence. 父母的工作日都很忙. 工作日 is work day, right? Monday to Friday. So mum and dad's parents, the parents' work days are all very busy. They're very busy during the work days. 只有周末才能陪孩子. Pay is like hang out with, spend time with. So 只有周末才能陪孩子. So paying the 孩子 is with an English accent. Paying the 孩子, there you go, is their desired outcome, but unfortunately only on the condition that it is the weekend can they do that. Okay. So a bit longer, but still very simple, very straightforward structure. Now, we are at the end of this grammar lesson, so maybe you want to pause it if you haven't had enough time, but maybe you want to try and translate that famous phrase for us. This is how you would translate it. So only you, right? So that one, I'm pretty sure most of you could do on the fly. Only you can prevent forest fires. 只有你才能防止森林火灾. 防止 is prevent. 森林火灾 is forest fire. So there you go, guys. I'm sure you had to look up at least one or two words there. 防止 is to prevent, and 森林火灾 is forest fire. But of course, it's worth it because you'll be using this phrase all the time in your day-to-day life, I'm sure. So I hope that sentence and this whole lesson was helpful to you in understanding this grammar phrase, grammar structure. Let's move on. All right, so let's jump into the emails, comments, and questions that we've had this week. First one is from Christopher Weeks. And he says, we've got two questions today. One of the comments I keep getting from both a language exchange partner and a Chinese tutor of the sound, especially when combined with the initials ZH, CH, or SH. I've been told I'm rolling my tongue too much. Any particular tips or videos to help for this particular sound? Yeah, this might have been something to do with the fact that because we teach it, we tell you, okay, put your tongue up. So it's like doing a Sean Connery impression. You gotta speak like this. And that's to help you get the sound. But something that maybe we should have mentioned is that, you'll naturally find your own place you're comfortable with. You don't want to push it too far and it's like, for example, we have a picture with the tongue curled back like that. So maybe people are understandably going to look at that and be like, okay, I have to curl my tongue. Like trying to curl your tongue all the way exactly as far. But everyone's got different tongues. Everyone's got different roofs of their mouths and things like that. And of course, that's just to illustrate the position in general. But everyone's going to have their own personal positions that will make them comfortable. Because the most important thing, you want to sound native, but the most important thing is that you're comfortable. You can do that at a reasonable speed. But on the other hand, you also need to do it, and it's not from English, so it's going to be uncomfortable at some degree. So you have to find that. So, like, for example, when I started out, I remember very vividly. I also had the same problem. I would go to I would 我受不了你，我受不了, like really like hardcore Sean Connery, too much Sean Connery for my own good, and I would get made fun of by my Chinese friends. I did get made fun of by one Chinese friend, but it was made fun of so hard, with so many people laughing at me, that I did correct myself pretty swiftly. And the only thing, when I say correct myself, I wasn't doing it wrong. It was just OTT. It was just a bit over the top. So now that when I speak normally, it's when I say like 是的, it's probably somewhere just above where my top gum, behind obviously, my top gum joins the roof of my mouth. You know that line? You can sort of feel it with your tongue. It's sort of kind of like a ridge. And of course, it never touches the roof or anywhere. It doesn't actually make contact with the roof or that ridge at all. But it's that position. It's like, yeah, it's right on that ridge, maybe just above it, usually. But, you know, just make sure that you've got a bit of a kind of whistle, like a Sean Connery, that sort of sound. So it doesn't sound like the sh in English. But just, you know, make sure you're comfortable. Yeah, so that's all I could say about that. You know, keep practicing and you'll find your sweet spot. He says, I'm also having trouble remembering the conversation connectors as flashcards and have always struggled with sentence or phrases being remembered in comparison to individual words. Any tips on this or how to make some small edits to the cards to make it a little more brain friendly? So conversation connectors are now a part of our course. They weren't originally. They're just 418 phrases, conversation connectors. So they connect one part of a sentence to the other part, or they are phrases that are common in Chinese in and of themselves. And the idea is, first of all, we want to give that away as like a free thing for people that are on the website. So if you go to resources on our website, mandarinblueprint.com, resources, you'll see it there, 418 conversation connectors. It's free. It comes with a PDF, and all of them have Anki cards, very nice audio, done by Jerry, our sort of, he does all of our audio, him and Annie. And these are originally just made for, you know, to give away a free thing, and also for Instagram content, Facebook content. And we never thought to put it in the course until later. I was like, well, okay, the course is all about, you know, you learn this many characters and now you can read this sentence, right? But the idea is not to memorize the sentence. The idea is to understand and understand the message of what's being said, and you acquire the words within that sentence and the grammar structures and what have you. Whereas with the conversation connectors, it's kind of a bit different because it's just a chengyu, like an idiom, or it's a phrase, or it's just the beginning of something with an example sentence. So it's a bit different for people because you are kind of expected to memorize it. That's kind of the idea, and that's not something we do anywhere else in the course. So I think setting that expectation of memorizing it is a bit too high. Like we need to pull that back a bit. Just see the conversation connectors as something that you can practice with a tutor. Make your own sentences with. Feel free to practice them at the flashcards, of course, but really they're something that you need to learn top down. For the most part. What we should probably do at some point is make example sentences only, not the actual phrase, just an example sentence with the phrase in it, close delete and say, you know, guess the missing character instead. But, you know, I don't think we do that with all of them. We do that sometimes we just have the phrase. So it's a little bit more of a challenge. Well, a lot more of a challenge actually if you're just delving into that part of the course with sentences and things like that. And people have been struggling with them, so sorry about that. You know, just treat the conversation connectors as just an extra bonus. Practice them on the move. Listen to the audio. Practice with a tutor. Maybe choose like 5 or something, and then try and master them in the class with a tutor. I think that'd be a good idea. But they're not. You know, don't hold yourself to that standard where you have to actually memorize them. That's asking a lot. And yes, I will consider making edits to them. To make them a little bit more brain friendly. Oh, good. Oh, and also from Christopher, we've got a progress update. So he says, I've been doing the Mandarin Blueprint Method since June 26th. It's now August 10th, 11th, something like that. And June, July, August, yes, like 6 weeks. And I'm very happy with my progress so far, especially with remembering how to write characters, which has always been an issue for me. I just finished level 15 of the Hands and Movie Method, finished the pronunciation mastery back in mid-July, and I think I've only skipped 2 days on Anki back in June, hoping to hit character 200 at the end of August and hit the newly updated Phase 4. Yes, so we updated Phase 4. Phil's been working his butt off making, so we don't have to have grammar lessons. Not grammar lessons, sorry. What am I talking about? The longer form dialogues and stories are currently in the form of, what do we call them? Google Slides. And, you know, not everyone has a great time using Google Slides. The majority of people have no problem whatsoever. That's why we chose to use them. But we have now recorded all of the stories in longer form content at both 80% speed and 100% speed, both male and female, in a video with text tracking as well, done all by hand by the great Phil. So he spent a lot of hours making all these videos. And these videos are downloadable, so you can watch the videos on the move, listen to them, of course. If you just want the audio, you can also I think you can still. No, I don't want to say that because I don't know for sure if you can still access the Google Slides or not. But you have the PDF and everything. You can read through things. You have the audio. You have everything to shadow, which is a great thing to do. So I'm looking forward to hearing you guys' feedback on that as well, how those videos work out for you. Let us know. Oh, haven't heard from Moira in a while. She says, from the community, she says, I'm struggling to find time for language learning. When I started this course, I worked 3 to 4 12-hour shifts a week. Now it is typically 60 hours. I'm trying to cut it back down, but so many of our staff just quit over COVID that I feel guilty if I don't help to cover the shifts as our residents need us. I imagine you work at some sort of care home residence, I imagine, or some sort of hospital, something like that. I believe you mentioned that before, Moira, what you did, but it slipped my mind now. So I'm trying to rationalize my free time and be organized to continue the course. Do you think a minimum of 3 hours a week spread over my lighter days will be enough for progress? That will be a minimum of an hour a day, 3 times a week. Before people suggest I should try to do something on my work days, please understand that I walk to and from work, and several times when I get home from my night shift and have managed to eat something, I'm so tired I cannot bring myself to get off the sofa and walk to my bed. These are not days when my brain takes in new information. So Moira, 3 hours is enough, first of all. 3 hours is a good, in fact, that's more than most people do, I think, when they study a language. Most people do like 10, 20 minutes a day when they're using other apps. When they're using Mandarin Blueprint Method, though, our members are usually a bit more renjen, a bit more hardworking because we're more fun. So 3 hours is loads, like 20 minutes a day, most people. It's just like a couple of hours a week, really, most people on average. So it's already past the average person, I reckon. 3 hours a week. Just make the most of it when you have it, and there might be other ways you can make more free time. I don't have your life. I do work 60 hours a week myself, but I don't travel. I just work at home. I have my own spare room and I just work in there. So it's a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult to compare. But, there's ways that you could go to bed earlier, get up earlier, walking to and from work, that you don't mention anything else. You just say, I walk to and from work several times when I get home from it. Yeah, so forget working in the evening after a 12-hour shift. That's just not going to happen for the majority of people, right? But walking to and from work, that's when you can get tons of stuff done. And because you're walking, your blood is flowing. It's extra good for you, especially doing something like shadowing, which is usually very challenging. In fact, it's recommended that you're moving whilst you're speaking and listening. You could also get 3 to 5 characters from our course sort of lined up, maybe in a note or just have it there on the lesson, on screen, on the browser, or on the Kajabi app, on your phone, and prepare. You've got the props, you've got the movie, you got the keyword, and all that sort of stuff, and you can make the movies whilst you're on the move. With your eyes open. Don't be getting hit by a car or anything. But there's all sorts of stuff that you do if you get a bit creative. Just try and keep your energy levels, try and get sleep, eat well and all that sort of stuff, and you'll be more alert and you'll be able to find more time. But that's all I can say on that, really. I don't want to go any deeper because I don't have your life, but that's what I would do in your position. But let me know how that goes, and if you want to give me any more specific details, and I'll be happy to give you my suggestion. Next one is from Alison Marshall on Anki-Dex Inside Level 6, complete Level 6. Well done. Oh, wow, she says, first, this entire course is amazing. Thank you for all your hard work. Well, thank you, Alison. Second, these movies have turned into story time with my kids. Oh, that's sweet. That's really great. They want to hear all the movies I'm making up and now have the favorites they request again and again. What? That's fantastic. Sneaky parenting hack. They're learning Chinese too without even realizing it. That's brilliant. Guerrilla education. That's That's fantastic. Alison, can you keep me updated on those, please? They must be really nice kids. Yeah, you must raise them well. So they're really interested in hearing those little stories. Oh, I can't wait to teach my son all that stuff. Like teach him Chinese using the hands and movement method. That'd just be so fun. Doing like all sorts of. I keep itching my nose. Sorry, guys. But like doing all sorts of interesting. Yeah, like getting them to, because I plan on having several children if I can. I hope my wife can, more accurately, if she's up for that. But that would be so cool, having the kids gather round. You know, all right, what are we going to do for sure? Sean Connery, you don't know who that is. All right, you know, thinking up ways. Everyone's got their own characters. Oh, that'd be so much fun. And we have had people do that. You know, back in the day when we were teaching online, one of our early clients, guy from England, he did that with his 2 daughters. That's how he spent his summer holiday. We taught him the method, and after we were done, he spent the entire summer teaching his 2 little girls. And yeah, it's a very good bonding experience. That's lovely. All right, next, Ramona, make a movie for ying. First tone. It could also be 4th tone, actually. I know it's probably not the right place to post this, but yeah, pretty excited myself to have reached character number 400. Fantastic. Anywhere is the right place to share this sort of stuff, by the way. Anyone listening, if you want to express how happy you are, how amazing your experience was, or your achievement is, anywhere is fine. Okay? I deserve a break and a cake now. It's adorable. Gotta go. Before this, just want to say again, thanks guys for this amazing method. 2 exclamation marks. Well, thank you, Ramona. It's always nice to hear from you. Christine, on it's another long form piece of content. It says 用什么办法可以学好汉语? What methods can you use to study Chinese? Christine just says, oh my goodness. So awesome to be able to read and listen to this and actually understand and follow. Awesome. That's brilliant as well. Thank you. Got lots. This is how they come, by the way. Just put them in there. Got 3 great ones in a row. Thank you. Okay, so, and a 4th. Oh, brilliant. All right, so James Braun on look at how solid that foundation is. So again, this is for once you reach level 36 or the end of level 36, that is the foundation course finished. That means at this point, you have learned or acquired, or at least, you've acquired 600 common characters, how to read, write, and understand and pronounce them. And you have also started to acquire and learn how to use the most common 1,000 words, which are made up of those 600 characters. So it's a great achievement. It says, hi guys, I just want to echo so many of the comments and tell you how much I'm enjoying the course. You guys seem to have hit on a perfect combination of elements that make up your course. The well laid out and clearly defined path to learning characters, the hands and movie method, all of the videos, podcasts, Anki decks, links, and recommendations to online resources. The list goes on and on. It's like you guys have hiked to the top of the mountain and have paved the way behind you. All we have to do is follow and keep putting one foot in front of the other. I also really appreciate the encouraging videos and emails. So yes, at the end of every level, we send a nice big email, not only congratulating you, but showing you what you've learned and applying it in context and telling you what you have still yet to learn in the next level. I know I have to put in the work, but it's great to have you guys as my coach. I'm happy to report that I have taken Phil's advice and have had no 0 days since I started the course 5 months ago. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to the next phase in the journey. 谢谢你们. Thanks, guys. All right. Well done, James. Keep it up, mate. Keep up that attitude. That's fantastic. And you still have you're still less than halfway there in terms of the current content of the course. I'm really excited to hear what you have to say once you get to the intermediate, when you can start reading and writing entire stories. In fact, you're already kind of there, but more stories, let's say. Next one is from William Beeman, pick a prop for Ding. He says, the European comic character Tintin is evidently ding ding in Mandarin. Who knew? And I kept this comment in there because that's what I got called back when I had enough hair to have a fringe. They would call me ding ding when I first got to China. I have a little quiff up here, but no longer. I get called Jason Statham now. Simone Papadopoulos, our new vocabulary unlocked. 吓死. Interesting to see what the third character in this phrase, 吓死我了. Any particular reason for its placement there rather than at the start? Well, in this particular phrase, it's 吓死我了 is saying something scared me. So something would be the subject, so whatever it is. This is just a fixed phrase though. You say 吓死我了. 吓我一跳, right? 吓我一跳. 跳is like jump. You say 吓我一跳. 吓死我了. It's just that, 吓死 is the verb, and then 我 is the subject. Sorry, the object. Okay, the guest, let's say. 吓死我了. And I guess the subject in this case is implied in the situation, right? So, someone accidentally jumps out and you go, 吓死我了. So obviously, 你吓死我了 that's what I would say. I mean, I haven't delved into it, haven't really analysed it, but yeah, and think of it as just like a fixed phrase. It's a fixed phrase that people say a lot. Next is Rick Santos on Phase 3 Blueprint Expansions. He says, for a sentence, 我早上骂了我的儿子. 我早上骂了我的儿子. He says, this is great. I just got what the message is. I paused a moment at ma, which means to sort of scold, to rebuke. In a flash, the horse entered my mind, but I immediately recalled two angry eyes in the movie. That would be the top components. So this is the scolding part. The rest was easy, really. Fantastic. I've got 3 in a row, actually. A couple in a row from Rick. Another one here. He says, 我的马很吓人. I understood this at first look as my horse is very scared of people. I assumed of was omitted, but of course, in a follow-up conversation, this could eventually be clarified. 是不是? That's right. I enjoyed reading the above sentences without checking its meaning, but only recalling the Hansa movie. The other dopamine moment, I love that, dopamine moment, was when I got blank with the meaning of 找, which means to look for. In my movie, it was a finger triggering the spear gun. So the meaning of find, a fish, popped out suddenly, and the tone followed because the actor was underwater. Yes, the actor was scuba diving in my set. The Hands Moving Method is really paying off this early. Thank you for being persistent in teaching the Hands Moving Method. I'm appreciating it a lot more at this time. Awesome. Thanks, Rick. Glad it's working for you, mate. That's brilliant. Keep it up. Next one, Benjamin Reese on Phase 4 Intro. He says, I also differentiated between slow and native speeds in the album category, so I could listen to all the recordings of the same speed in one go. So yeah, again, with all of the long form content, whether it's long, I say long form, but some of them it's just a paragraph, but whether it's a paragraph or an entire story, everything has male and female audio and 80% and 100% speed, native speed. Just because we know from experience that that's really nice to have. That's a good thing about learning from people who learnt the language themselves, right? And yes, these are all downloadable. And this is a great idea that Benjamin has to organize them in an album. So this is like, MB long form content or whatever you want to call it, 80% and 100%, and just have them separated. And you can level up when you're ready to level up and go for the 100% native speed. Next one here is from Raina from a pronunciation mastery lesson. And she says, thanks for leaving vulgar words out of the course. I don't curse, and I want to be able to freely recommend this course to my friends of a similar opinion. Besides which, I'm learning Chinese because my sister-in-law is from China. Her first name is Shuang, and because she was the second-born child. Well, interesting. Anyway, thanks for the tip, so I can be sure to use the correct first tone when I say her name. Awesome. Yeah, we definitely wanted to keep swear words out of the course and this podcast and everything like that, except for there was one podcast with my friend Scott from London. But, what are you going to do? Londoners. Yeah, and also, the course is not as child-friendly as I would like, unfortunately. and we're going to have to go through, and we want to make it child friendly because, like I was saying earlier, I really want people to be able to share this with their kids, and I want to be able to sell it to schools one day. And it is, for like, I guess it's PG-13. There's nothing really, but there are, in the early days, or with some guests, mentioned about like heroin needles and things like this, and it's not something I really want kids to hear, obviously. But we're not too far off the mark, But I'd like to go through and give it a proper spring clean one day soon. And make sure it's all ready for kids to literally for the fun for all the family, without parents having to screen it first just in case there's going to be a mention of heroin injection somewhere. But overall, you're safe. Pretty safe. So the next one is Jason Pon. It's a word for yeah. He says, is there a grammatical difference between hai, as in still, and yeah, in expressing also? The answer is, in this context of also, yeah. Yeah, it's basically the same. Of course, yeah and hai have other meanings, but when they're used to mean also, they are essentially the same. It's just the usage is slightly different, but instead of me explaining that, I want you to go and read, and not just you, Jason, but anyone, I want you to go and read more. Go and look at example sentences. In fact, as much as I love talking about the differences between words and explaining stuff like this, I don't mind at all. I just think that, if this was me, if I was learning, I want to, what's the difference between hai and yeah? Do they have a difference really? I would look up some example sentences, and if the example sentences didn't make it obvious, I would go ask on hinative.com whether you just have, because obviously me and Phil, we're pretty darn good at Chinese, right? But with hinative.com, you get not only native speakers, but a ton of native speakers, very helpful. It will give you multiple answers and then vote on the answers as well. So that would just be me. If I wanted a fast answer from native speakers, I would go there. If my reading example sentences didn't already answer the question, which it will most of the time. But I guess that's quite a subtle question, so I understand you asking it. Yeah, for sure. William Beeman, making moving forward. Zhǒu. He says, hi, can you explain a little better the difference between zhǒu and xingqi? Thanks. Yeah, this one confused me a lot when I was just starting out with Chinese. I was like, there's also libai, zhǒu, xingqi, libai. There's another one as well, which I can't remember off the top of my head. Come on, no, I can't. But I think there's another one. But yeah, the difference is actually, it's fairly large because zhǒu is a measured word in itself, right? So you can say 一周, you can say 两周, 一周, 三周. You can say, you don't have to have a measure word in between because 周 is also a measure word. It's the same thing with 年 meaning year, or 天 meaning day. You can say 一天 or 每天, or 每年, 两年, etc. You can do it because they are in and of themselves measure words. Whereas 星期 is not a measure word; it's just a compound word. So you have to say 个 before. You have to add a measure word before using a number of it. So 一个星期. But in terms of actual usage, how they sound to a native speaker, no difference. They're not necessarily more formal or more casual. I mean, maybe you would see 周 more in written, but it doesn't. It's the same level of casuality is the same in terms of speaking, as far as I know. Rick Santos, new vocabulary unlocked, 上来. I enjoy reading without pinyin. Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? But it seems that in my mind, the pinyin ghosts. I like that. You really got a very interesting mind, Rick, the way you conceptualize things. Pinyin ghosts float under the lines somehow. I look to the pinyin in my mind. So tempting. I try to read again consciously, reading the characters themselves and recalling the actors and sets of the HMM slowly but surely. Also by writing the characters on a separate sheet. I don't see the ghost pinyin anymore, the pinyin ghosts. I think writing the characters weans me from the pinyin slowly. Interesting. I haven't been a beginner for too long now, so I can't quite put myself in your shoes there with the pinyin issue, because I sort of I think when I started I sort of naturally just stopped because here's what I did. Couldn't read for like a year and a half at all. Like I didn't learn any characters really, not properly. and then I learned 3,000 characters, how to read, write, and pronounce them using the similar method that we teach now in about 6 months or just under. So I went from nothing to read, and I didn't really think about the pinyin again after that, to be honest, except for obviously for looking up new characters that I didn't know. But I like the concept, the pinyin ghosts. Yeah, very interesting. Another one from Rick here. He says, at 038, I don't think you are tone deaf at all. I refer to myself as being tone deaf because I don't use music in my scenes that much, and I don't listen to music that much. I love music, but I don't listen to it that much in my life. So it doesn't help me that much having music in my scenes, but I know it helps a lot of people. I might actually, he says, Rick's just being nice. He says, I might actually guess you are very strict in terms of accuracy of tones. Well, I suppose I am. Even though there are only just there are just 5, you in fact have succeeded on how to make a tonal language easily possible to learn, even for many people who have no idea what a tonal language is. This is another way of showing my appreciation for your wonderful Mandarin Blueprint. Thank you. Oh, thanks again, Rick. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate that. Neale on Make a Movie for Ban. He says, I tend not to want to put myself in the scene, but examples given suggest that would be a good idea. Well, technically, I don't want to be like a technical one of those people, but you're in every scene because you're the observer, right? I say go ahead and use yourself, because there's a technique that you're really early in the method at the moment, but there's a technique that you'll be introduced to soon if you haven't been already, which is extras or copies, where we say, imagine a copy of an actor. If you need another pair of hands to sort of interact with something, which helps your imagination, it helps you helps facilitate the scene a little bit better. If you need that, I mean, there's no one better than yourself to imagine yourself third person, or just to interact from your own viewpoint, just pick up stuff, grab people, throw things, whatever it is you're going to do. Involve yourself, because you're never going to confuse yourself with anyone else, right? So it won't affect the scene. So yeah, go ahead, use yourself. It's a great idea. It's a great idea. You don't have to, but it could help. Nacho says, hello, Luke and Phil. I have a little question in the sentence 父母谁来决定宝宝的长相? What's the function of 来 after 谁? Yeah, so the sentence here is 父母, parents, 谁来决定, who comes to decide 宝宝的长相. Now this lie here is obviously no one's like, it's not like the dad's like, I'm here, I'm going to decide the baby's appearance. It's abstract. And this is used mainly as a tonal thing. In fact, I remember when I was doing an italki lesson once, years ago, we were doing live classes. I was recording the screen to show people how to use italki, and it's a lesson. It was kind of meta. It was like me taking a lesson to show people how to do a lesson with a tutor in our live class. And it was actually really good. I signed up for this tutor like 10 lessons or something, and did it that way. And one of the things I said to her, I was like, I want to sound more like a Chinese person. I want to sound more common. And one of the things she said pretty much straight away was, say 来 before you're about to describe doing something. 我来告诉你 我来给你讲个故事. I'll tell you a story. So obviously you're not coming, you're already here. But 来 is a tone of voice thing. It makes you sound more, and it comes. They call it a 趋向动词 in this particular sort of, what's the word, in this particular context, meaning you're about to do something, you're about to move something or create something. So you would say 来 before. So just throw that before a verb. And you could also just say 我给你讲个故事. You can just directly say, I'll tell you a story. You don't have to add in the 来, but it kind of just makes you sound a bit more native, a bit more 地道, natural. I think that's the best translation for that word. But yeah, so in reality, you don't need it, but you can use it before describing doing something to do with movement, perhaps. I know that deciding a baby's appearance is not to do with movement, but again, it's abstract. So who's going to come and take care of this kind of thing? So yeah, I hope that answers the question. Yeah, throw in a few lies there. And I was going to keep going off tangents, but I love, I'm having lessons again now with a separate tutor. And one of the things that he said is to add 可, and that's something I see all the time. Actually, no, I brought it up. I said, isn't it funny? You can just take a really common character, a common word, and throw it in the sentence, and it just makes such a huge difference. So, for example, Chinese people would use the word 可, meaning very, a lot. I know you think of it as 非常 or 很 or whatever, depending on the context, right? So instead of saying, for example, 我怕他, I am scared of him or it, you say 我可怕他. It's like, I'm really scared of him, it's like 可. Or, hey, don't do that. It's like 别, I don't know, 你别扔了, 别扔. So don't throw that thing. 别把那个扔了. So don't throw that away. You say 可别把那个扔了. Just add in a 可. And of course, 可 is a really common character. But it's just like, I hope this tangent makes sense. It's just like, it's a way, it's something that native people do it's really common, but it's something that you wouldn't learn from a textbook. You wouldn't learn from any sort of class, really. You wouldn't see it in any materials. You'd have to pick it up naturally from just absorbing it, exposing yourself to the world, to the Chinese world. Next one here is from Michaela Ellison on a pronunciation quiz. She says, first, I love the idea of tone pair anchors presented in the unit wrap-up. So just for those who don't know, you've probably seen the tone pair chart before, where we have the tones, and then we choose a word for each tone pair. There's 19 in total. And we suggest that you pick a really common word that has the particular tone pair, like, for example, 飞机, like airplane for first tone, and that is your tone pair anchor for that tone pair, right? That 一声 tone pair. And instead of practicing the tones, you're thinking about it in that way, you're practicing that word, the tone pair anchor, and you can apply that, because again, it's the same note, but it's a different instrument. So whatever the word might be, 应该, 应该飞机, should and plane have the same tone pair, you get the idea. Anyway, she says, I definitely have those words that have stuck in my mind for whatever reason, but I've never thought of using them to solidify the tones of other words. I'm learning. I don't know why I said it in that way. God. All right, let's try again. But I've never thought of using them to solidify the tones of other words I'm learning. Excited to try that. Also, you say ge is a universal measure word. Do you mean you can use it and be understood? Or is it actually correct to use it in every case? I guess my real question would be, would a native speaker do that? And the answer is, not really. No, maybe a child. But no, native speakers don't forget the measure words, because it's their language. It's not something that they would do. Using ge for everything, or at least you can replace ge. You forget the measure word for 张. It's for 桌子, right? It's for table. It's 这张桌子, 张 like 这张纸, for flat, wide objects, right? 张 is the measure word you should use. So you forget it, you can say 这个桌子 is fine. People get what you're saying. But that's something a child might do in China. But adults wouldn't do that. But it's fine. It's just a way of you filling in the gaps until you can actually really build that foundation. William Beeman says, I'll make a movie for 行 or 行, depending on the context. He says, so William's been sending loads of messages on lately, just asking all sorts of questions about, what's the difference between this? How do I use this? This sentence, I'm not quite sure, which is absolutely fine, and we enjoy answering them, right? So I think I answered like the third one in a row within like an hour, because he was just on a roll. And then he sent a message of this. He said, hi, I hope this exchange is not just an annoyance for you, because I do very much enjoy you guys' insights, and I'm really learning a lot very quickly. That's awesome. I cited 旅行. 旅行 means travel. Why can't I think of the translation? 我去旅行. Travel. Travel's fine. I cited 旅行 precisely because it had to do with travel and movement. The use of 行 to mean things like possible or okay and the like seems then to be kind of metaphorical or even slangy, sort of like German es geht. I don't know German at all, so I probably said that wrong. It goes. I mean, es geht means it goes. It's okay. Things are going along. Yeah, I've never thought about that. 行 meaning like yeah, because it's so common, used all the time. It means yeah, that's possible. Or even English, things are going well, fine. Thanks again for these pleasant interchanges and for answering so immediately. I calculate you are answering my early query in the morning. You are really dedicated, but we're all having fun. At least I hope you are. Yes, I don't mind at all. As long as it's pertinent, as long as it's, you know what I mean? It's not just like constantly asking, I don't know, random questions that aren't related to Mandarin. That would annoy me. Like, it's like, how much does a chocolate bar cost in a supermarket in China? Is that all this sort of thing? You know, I still wouldn't mind too much, but as long as it's related to you know, Mandarin, then that's fine with me, and it feels the same. In fact, we're constantly talking about how much we enjoy interacting with people on the course. You know, it's awesome. So no, don't worry about it, guys. Don't worry about if you feel like you're bothering us or something, like if you keep asking questions. No, that's fine. Oh, and also, of course, I mean, I forgot this. This is the most important aspect of it. We're not just answering for you. You know, other people might have that question, and so you're creating content for us. We could make a video from it. There's all sorts of stuff that we could do. You know, that's what this podcast is doing for us too. Like, we're creating all sorts of bonus content and real content for the course. So it's everyone wins. Everyone's winning. We're all winning. Alex summary on vocab unlocked from dai, to stay, wait. Sometimes I'm confused by these new words when it doesn't seem to change the definition of previously learned characters. For example, 等待. This is just a synonym for 等 used on its own, or are there reasons we would use one and not the other? So this is an incredibly interesting question, and I wanted to, I saw it briefly before recording the podcast, and I know it deserves a bit more research on my part before answering it, because I've studied this before, and someone gave me a great answer, but it was many years ago, and I can't remember now. And I was trying to sort of frantically look for this, but basically it's to do with sentence rhythm, patterns. It's just what sounds right, what feels right, and it's also to do with formal and informal as well. So a lot of times there's a compound word, and then there's one of those characters is used in common speech. So, for example, 你等我吧, wait for me, hey? Wait, 吧 is like, you know, suggestion. Please wait for me, kind of. 你等我吧. People say, you can't say 你等待我. 你等待我吧. It's wrong. It's too formal. But it's also a pattern thing. It's also a sentence rhythm thing. It's just, that's all I can really say on the subject at the moment. But it's to do with, it's to do with rhythm and formality. But again, even if I could explain it, it would be interesting, right? It'd be way more interesting than the explanation I've just given. But I hate to say this, but it wouldn't help. It wouldn't help. You know, it wouldn't help your language ability. The only thing you'll get this after just absorbing, listening, reading, and of course practicing speaking too. So yeah, but it's a great question, and what I might do is look into it further and come back to you a bit more next week, or follow up with you on the platform. So, but thanks, Alex. William Beeman on make a movie for de or day or de, depending on the context. Can you explain the difference between de and 需要? Okay, so it's the same difference between need and must. So you know, one is kind of like an order. You know, you must do this. 你得 blah blah blah. You must do this. This could be an order, or 我得 is like a really strong. I have to. I must do this thing for, you know, whatever, some very important reason. But 需要 is a requirement. I need this thing. Do I need this? Is this a requirement? Is this required? There's a bit of a difference to that, right? If you want to say must, you could also say 必须, which is, and I'll put it in the notes there on the bottom of the comment section. 得 means must, 必须, and you can also say 必须得 if you want to be extra, you know, exaggerate that point of must. 必须得, 你必须得 blah 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 blah, and also the same meaning, right? Pretty much. 得 必须得, and 需要 is different. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Paul Schutz, don't know how to say that, on new vocabulary unlocked for 人们, meaning people. He says, I've also done all of Pimsleur, many lessons multiple times, and I'm going through all of them again. I know you guys don't like it as much as some other programs, but it is one of the most accessible ones to use while driving, working out, etc., as you can just hit play and enjoy the half-hour ride. I've got no problem with Pimsleur. Again, it's a bit boring, it's a bit outdated because of the SRS system it works on, but it works pretty well. You know, it worked for me, as you know. So go ahead. I certainly wouldn't object to using it in any way. Like, you know, it does the job well. It's really good for your pronunciation, getting a bit of input. It's just that some of the phrases that they use are a bit outdated. They don't really. It's not. A lot of them are just not something that Chinese people would say. Genuinely aren't. But as long as you know that and you're just there to get a bit of practice, that's fine. All right, so that's all of the email messages we had this week and comments. So thanks for those. And we're going to move on to movies now. So just one movie this week, actually, from Nick Sims, Make a Movie for, which means noon. And he says, in my childhood bedroom, it's dusty, a little dry and drafty, and Wolverine is standing there looking deeply into loser Trump's eyes as they square off. Ooh, controversial. Tick tock, the clock goes until noon. Gong! Wolverine draws his blades, ready to slice him up, and scared Trump tries to do a shadow clone move. Wow! And it doesn't work. Trump faints, frozen. That's great. I love the way that you've set up the scene. Are you a writer? It's dusty, a little dry and drafty. That's just like some extra details there, Nick. So we've got the loser prop. We have this. Yep. I love that. I don't even know. I can't even think what that is. A shadow clone. This is something from Mortal Kombat. Like Noob Saibot. Is that what it is? I don't know. But I really like it. I think you got it right. You got the sound effects. Noon, gong, TikTok. Yep. No issues there whatsoever. So well done. Thanks a lot, Nick. So let's keep me updated on your progress. I know you're fairly new to the course. So well done. Great job. Sorry I've only got one movie this week, guys. You know, that's some weeks it's a bit slower than others, I guess. But thank you so much for your emails and comments as usual. And as I always say, if you are not on our course, you haven't experienced the Mandarin Blueprint Method, please do check it out, especially if you've listened to this entire podcast, because it really works. And I'm sure a lot of people would attest to that. So give it a free trial, and you get a 30-day guarantee on it as well. All right, guys, thank you very much for listening this week, and thank you for your messages, your comments. They're wonderful as always, and we do enjoy answering them. It's the highlight of our week. So I think I'm also doing this next week, or maybe it's Phil. Yeah, I think it's Phil next week. He'll be back from Dali, which is a beautiful place, by the way. You guys should check it out if you come to China one day, which hopefully we'll all be able to do at some point soon. So yeah, thanks very much, guys, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.